look at that sky above you. Look at that sky. Isn't that beautiful? It is like my only way of showing what a pretty day it is here today. So I hope you can still hear me fine. If you can't hear me, please leave a comment below. And anyway, I was talking about in my last live about tech-free things to do with your family. I feel like so often we've kind of become accustomed to just, what do you do at night? You Netflix and chill. You sit and you have to realize that act of sitting there and watching, you know, Netflix or a similar thing is actually a huge dopamine dump for your brain. And so that's why it feels, you know, like you would want to do that. But is that productive to your family? You know, is that something that would benefit your family? Is that something to you know, is that what you want to model for your kids? I guess that's my bigger point. Like, is sitting there and like watching TV what you want your kids to remember about the family time that you had, about the time that you all were together? You know, is that the point of it? You know, to say, and you know, and I know some people kind of make memories with the shows that they watch together, and I will say my husband and I were the same way before we had kids, right? But then we became more intentional about it, especially because there's so many shows that are just like borderline sort of, you know, is that something the kids should like watch, you know? And do you want to sit there and watch? And even cartoons, you know, nowadays, and this is part of why I'm so like pro low tech, because even cartoons, honestly, they're just like adult movies but made in drawing version, you know, like they remind me of like gangster movies or whatever. There's every type of adult movie that you could have is just in cartoon form. It's the same thing, you know what I mean? So it makes no sense to me why you would like think that's a good idea, you know? So yeah, so that's what like your core memories. Hold on, I need to take a sip of water. So if you think about like, what do you want your children to have the memory of, right? Is it the whole family sits down and like watches TV together? Is that really the memory? Like, I feel like that's kind of a lame memory, you know? Or could you be doing something else as a family other than like watching TV? Like, what could be things that you could make it? And I know, I don't know if any of you have read about like habit stacking, but that's where you kind of adjust your habits by doing something better, like making incremental changes to your habits, and then also adding a new habit to an old habit. And I feel like, okay, I'll give you a negative example first, okay? A negative example would be like, say, watching TV, okay? So watching TV is like the first bad habit, right? And then what habits do you stack up on top of watching TV? Answer, you might eat more than you would normally. So you might have bad dietary habits that are stacked on your habits. So every night when you come home, you sit there, you watch TV, and so now it's like, okay, we have this almost like a ritual. We sit down, we watch television. That makes us hungry because we're kind of conditioned to it, you know what I mean? So then you're like, okay, and then what else do we do, you know? So can you do a positive habit stacking and like sit down and not watch TV and then stack positive habits on top of that? That would be my challenge.